be on a mission. I can't imagine what my life would be without comedy and jiu-jitsu. Your thing in your life might be your spirituality because you're working to be a priest. But once you're a priest, what's the next level up, right? Um, for me, I'm working on being a professional stand-up comedian. And one day, it's not an immediate goal. I always focus on today, but knowing what goals I have planned for tomorrow and then even further, to be a black belt one day. I don't want to be a black belt, but I want to progress from today. And as I continue to progress, I continue to have to get better. And just by that natural sequence, I'm going to be a black belt one day, but I have to focus and improve today and tomorrow. Just like in stand-up comedy, I have to always be, I mean, could you imagine what life would be like if you're just constantly maintaining? And then not even that, not even having something to maintain, you know? Like imagine going to the gym and you didn't ever try to lift more weights, or being a track athlete and not ever trying to get a faster mile. I think maintaining is one of the most dangerous things that you could do in your life, not just personally, but spiritually, and with your personal relationships and your friends. Like if you're married and all you do is maintain your relationship and you're not trying to make it better always, I feel like the relationships, whether it's on the personal side or friends or whatever, right? If you're not doing things to constantly improve them, there's no such thing as maintaining a relationship. It's either always going up or always going down, right? And I think by you having a purpose, um, having a mission in your life, such as me for my stand-up comedy, and then with that secondarily, but helping out with that, uh, jujitsu, like I just get like potentially so depressed because I think about how every single morning my routine is geared. When I go to bed, I'm thinking about it. When I get up in the morning, I start working on it. Um, and just knowing the fact that you have something that you're continually, not like a, uh, anyway, just knowing in life that you have something that's a goal, short term, medium, long term, and always. And then once you're there, like once I am a stand-up comedian, which are bold words to say, but that's the reason to say them, right? How do I continue to get better as a professional stand-up comedian? I have all of these goals lined up, okay? And without them, I really kind of feel like life is meaningless because you have to have a purpose. You have to be purposeful in everything that you do, you know? Like I couldn't even imagine just getting up in the morning and not having uh not going to the gym, or not trying to be more healthy. You see, everything is always progressive and it has to be. That's why one of the biggest things that I always tell myself, and to a few others of mine that are great friends, you have to always be moving forward. But it's not just like, going forward, it's also going upward. I think anything you do in life is going to be like an escalator, and you're going forward and upward, or forward and downward. I guess backward and downward, right? Um, but it's a dangerous thing, and it's the most inspiring thing. It's the most powerful thing that you can do, and the most devastating thing that you can do is not have all parts of your life be progressive, be moving forward in all parts of your life. And maybe some of them, you're not like, as an example, I have a day job, right? And I'm not trying to be the best at that because that's not what I'm passionate about. But I'm a working professional. I have a skill set and I can do that job. And if that's you, that's fine. But there needs to be something in your life. There needs to be something that you are working to be the best at. And if not the best at, better than you are today. Okay. You should all, whether you're lifting weights or you're running or it's in your personal relationships or whatever, you can't not care about everything because then there's no purpose of life. Plain and simple, you know? Um, in this podcast, as I've mentioned before, I always try to have things that I'm instilling um, for myself, which is kind of like a moment for me to like document and take a moment in my life and just putting it out there and making a record of it. And I was both thankful and I don't want to say depressed, but thinking of where depression could be hypothetically without the things that inspire me. And it's an awful thing to think about. And I'm just so dedicated and so geared. And I get so angry. I get so beyond angry. There isn't even a word for it. When I feel like not necessarily my goals aren't being met, but when I'm not working on my goals. Okay. You might want to bench press 250 pounds, but if you don't go to the gym a certain day on your way to that goal, even if you're benching less than that to get to that goal, man, that's the worst. Well, once you get 250, what do? Maybe you do more repetitions. You got to find out. That's part of the challenge and part of the fun in life is making challenges for yourself, making things more challenging, So maybe you get 250 pounds on a bench press. Okay. Well, then how many times can you do it? Okay. You've done it many times. What about more weight, more repetitions? You know what I mean? So, and for me, I'm not going to get into them, but I have many different goals between locations and sizes of the individuals that I'll be doing comedy to all at once, and how much I'm going to get paid, my pay structure, all sorts of stuff. And I think the biggest inspiration that I can be to not just myself, you can inspire yourself, in those moments of greatness um, when you level up in life, you're inspired by what you just did and you get addicted to it. You want to do more of it. You want to be more of an inspiration to yourself. But realistically, I also think that the biggest inspiration that you can be to others is to have them see you succeed, is to have them see you not just pursuing. Okay. You remember like Rocky 1, the training montage, the training footage, that's always inspiring. It's not just the fight, but it's the training before the fight that gets you really inspired. But you're always thinking about that. I don't like calling it a finish line, but what's past the finish line. You got to follow through. You don't just run to the finish line. In any race, you run through it. And that's exactly what I think. But once you run through that, you have to be thinking about the goal that you're on and what lies ahead. Right. So anyway, I just wanted to take a moment and just get this out because I try to have everything on this podcast be purposeful. And there's been the last like week or so, I felt like I was like accumulating thoughts as far as not necessarily what to say on this podcast and just to have something out just for the purpose of it, but where I was and basically just tapping into my own thoughts a little bit more. And I think stillness, and if you just drive around in the car with no radio, your your mind has a way of like starting to like connect dots because it's constantly in static, it's constantly in motion, it's constantly absorbing information and hearing things. So if you want to take a minute, if you don't have moments to yourself, which I'm going to do another episode about having time to yourself, how important that is, make that time by the very least clearing your thoughts by driving wherever you're driving and doing it without the radio. Because sometimes you can have noises around you. It could be a radio, it could be public streets, and you're just relaxing, meditating, whatever. But there's a different kind of silence when it's actual silence. And when it's actual silence, when there is no horns honking and the street lights buzzing and stuff like that, something interesting happens and your mind starts to connect dots. It gets a little bit more clear. And I feel like you can hear your inner thoughts. You can feel those ideas start to connect more and you start to think different. You remove an element, you start to think different. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate you. If there's something that I said that can take you to that next level, even great. But I know this was important for me to say, and I had to say it, and I'm thankful to have a mission, to be on a mission. And even thinking about this by saying it out loud helped me think that my mission should not just be for my personal goals. It should also be my relationships. When I started talking, that's what happens. It opens up also kind of like my mind to these other ideas. Um, because I started just thinking about comedy and jiu-jitsu, and I finished thinking about exercising a little bit, yeah, which is true, definitely, exact principle, but also your personal relationships, and maintaining. That's another big one. Maintaining relationships is one of the most dangerous things because if you're maintaining them and just coasting by like on cruise control, you're actually going down. Okay, because you constantly have to be making them better. Because if they're not getting better, they're getting worse. You need to think about that in your life and who your real friends are and what you're doing because your time is very valuable, right? And you should be using them to improve your relationships and not letting them consciously get worse by not trying to make them better. If you care about them, right? Again, if it's work, it's professional, get in there, get out, do your thing. But unless you love that job and that's your mission. So that being said, I hope everybody has a beautiful day. If I said something that takes you to that next level, I'm really happy about that. That's great. But I know in this moment, for me, it has, and I'm going to upload it, put in a video, and continue to always be moving forward. AMF. So y'all have a beautiful day. I'm Benja. Well done. Check me out. Peace.